purposes only. Nothing in this video should be taken as hard, concrete evidence, and everything is left up to your own interpretation. What you say? P. Anderson. So for those of you who have been following along in this journey, you'll know that in the Euphoria music video, I ran across a clue that was called P. Anderson, and it's an Area 51 access card. Now, I had done a lot of research trying to figure out specifically who or what this P. Anderson was, and I had come up to the conclusion that it might have been a general, and it could have been the general that Tom DeLonge had spoke about at the gates of Area 51. But I also did further research and found out that Tom DeLonge created a fictional character called Poet Anderson, who gets pulled into this dream world and has to fight these monstrous creatures and is guided by a dream walker the entire time. It's a very interesting story, but I want to dive in today to Tom DeLonge's video specifically wrapped around Poet Anderson. So, who is P. Anderson? In my personal opinion, I believe Poet Anderson is a fictional character from Tom DeLonge's stories in TTSA, but I also believe that Poet Anderson secretly is Mr. Thomas DeLonge, and here's why. Very first shot of the Poet Anderson Dreamwalker, you will notice this cute little guy here just chilling, and he's just very rad, but he's also got Tom DeLonge's tattoo going down his arm. And in the next scene here, he happens to launch himself up into the stars, and the name pops up, Tom DeLonge, but it then correlates to from the imagination of Tom DeLonge. And if we were crazy enough to go to Tom DeLonge's Instagram, you would note that that little fella right there, Mr. Thomas DeLonge, is very well correlated to that one. I'm just saying. So, in theory, Poet Anderson could be Tom DeLonge, okay? Just saying. But does that mean that Poet Anderson inside of Euphoria music video, I shouldn't say Poet Anderson, P. Anderson inside of the Euphoria music video, the man carrying the Area 51 access card is Tom? To be determined. I don't know. All right, so now we're gonna learn a little bit about Poet Anderson's girlfriend. This is Sam and Poet. Sam is his lover, and she's very concerned about Poet as he's been getting drugged down this rabbit hole deeper and deeper and is having trouble sleeping. So she's kind of looking for answers for Poet Anderson. But what I want to know here is Sam's cat. This little guy right here. Hidden in the shadows is a cat with green eyes. And later on in the video is a cat logo with a pyramid-shaped A and a white cat with green eyes. So absolutely contradicting the other color cat in the music video. We have a black cat hidden in the shadows, and now we have a white cat in the light. When I looked at this information, for some reason, I looked up like thecat.com and it brought me up to like equipment for bulldozing and stuff. So like it did not connect the dots, but I was like, man, that pyramid shaped A seems to feel like a pyramid. I don't know. So that led me over down the rabbit hole essentially to Cats of Egypt, which essentially brought me to Bastet. And the interesting thing about Bastet is she is one of the guardians of Egypt, essentially one of the goddesses, and she was a very genuinely feminine cat guardian, but also was extremely vicious as well. She had two sides to her, and I was like, wow, that's quite interesting. That seems to connect the dots, if you're asking me, to like the Euphoria music video when we found that unicorn as well as the cat with the X on the wall. I was like, could that be referring back to Code X? Let's learn a little bit about Bastet and what it is she does.
Bastet was known for her gentleness as the protector of women and the home. Yet she could also be ferocious when punishing those who harmed others and created disorder in society. The strangest and most confusing period in the history and geography of ancient Egypt is the separation between Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, especially within mythology, because while the two entities separated for a period, each had their own gods and goddesses. Lower Egypt was the home of the goddess Bastet, the lion-headed goddess of war. She was the defender of the pharaoh and the sun god Ra, who was also her father. Legend has it, by day, Bast would ride through the sky with her father, the sun god Ra, in his boat, pulling the sun through the sky. Ever watchful, she protected Ra from his enemies. Thus, she became known as the Lady of the East, the goddess of the rising sun, and the sacred and all-seeing eye.
So again, that's a random correlation, and I could be wrong about that, but that is the feeling that I had with that. And you'll see again in that video, if you watch it all the way through, multiple times that those cats will pop up in a dark shadow and in the bright light, and just like that, the dark and white. So I find it interesting, and the correlation to Beset as well as the correlation to Hathor. So Beset and Hathor as well as Ra are all kind of the same kind of family. So if you do a little research on Egypt, you will notice that they are connected in a specific way. It's very interesting. Let's go ahead and check out one last thing inside this video that I found as connections. So the very last connection I seem to have found was this. Let's go back to the beginning of the video here. So again, remember this name, Poet Anderson, the Dream Walker. And if we go into the story here, we're going to hear this right off the bat.
Protectors of our shared unconscious lives are known as dream walkers.
Dream walkers. So we'll hear that already twice. That word, that name has been connected with our brains 2 times. And as we go through here, we would also find it at like 6 minutes in.
I'm your dream walker.
Woo! All right, so there's another time that we've heard that specific word, Dreamwalker. Let me just comb through here real quick. Poet Anderson ends up becoming that new Dreamwalker. And he essentially takes his Dreamwalker's place as the walker himself, and then starts to guide Sam into her own experience.
Please confirm, is there a new Dreamwalker?
Eden, there is a new dream walker.
Ooh, it's connecting.
Poet Anderson.
Poet Anderson. So Poet Anderson becomes the new Dreamwalker and essentially helps Samantha, or Sam, become the Dreamwalker. And then essentially, as you can see that, she comes walking out and she starts...
Power and adventure belong to the lucid dreamers, while night terrors haunt the troubled and the helpless.
the same way Poet Anderson did. Right?
The protectors of our shared unconscious lives are known as Dreamwalkers.
Boom! The protectors of our shared unconscious lives. The people who we do not know about. The secret Men in Black society are the Dream Watchers. Now, hypothetically speaking, if we were to go to the next step, which could be connected to Dreamwalkers. Now that is a key touch point in our brains. So if we were to go over to, let's say, I don't know, Tom DeLonge made the movie Monsters of California, and one of the main characters in that happened to be, you know, Dr. Eric Walker, you know, because he was helping the kids get guided through to the information that they needed to find. Would that be weird if I told you that Majestic 12, Dr. Eric Walker was a thing? It connected back to the Majestic 12? Would that be weird? Or would that just be me finding random ass clues that make absolutely no sense to anything else in this world? I don't know. That's going to be up for you to decide. Like I said, this is a really complicated video and extremely hard to make. I spent hours working on this video. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And if it doesn't, continue watching the story because it will. We'll see you soon.
John Podesta was her campaign manager. Okay. At the time, he was also senior advisor to Obama. So I was holding conversations with Podesta to get to Obama, and I had 2 multi-star generals, Space Command, and the head of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, that Skunk Works built Area 51.